welcome to Caesar Snack Sandwich. Today I have a really quick video for you on the FEDz. Okay, the FEDz.org. I've spoken about this a little bit in the past, and here I am to kind of talk about it a little bit more depth. I've been out of commission for a little while, so I haven't been able to do videos that I've wanted to do. Now I want to cover this because this is a pretty interesting new algorithmic fractional reserve stablecoin. Okay, so everybody hates those things. Terra Luna was wrecked, and Basis Cash was wrecked, and everyone thinks it's impossible to make a fractional reserved algorithmic stablecoin. So let's take a look at what they're trying to do. Now, I will preface this with, this is currently in a live beta testing phase on Arbitrum. So you can buy this stablecoin, you can participate in this, but it's kind of like a live test. So obviously don't try to send in $1 million or something like that through this system. I do have a flowchart for you. I'll go through the flowchart and kind of explain to you how that works. Now, my understanding is based completely on these documentations and a little bit of assumptions here or there, or really careful digging and so forth. I have been playing with this for quite some time. There are some issues with the turn-based system that this thing has, but it's still working and it is still there, and I'm still playing around with it. So I would suggest you come and check it out. Let's swing over to the flowchart, and then I'll explain to you how everything works as far as I understand it. But as usual, go to the docs, read the docs, confirm what I'm saying, and so forth. Okay, so let's go over there. Okay, so here we are on the flowchart. We have dollar bill here. He wants to play with this Fed printer, right? And he's got some tether on Arbitrum to play with it. Okay, so the first thing he's going to do is he's going to mint himself a NFT. Okay, I did mint one of these NFTs, and I hold one of them. And I don't think there's any minting right now, so if you wanted to get one, you would have to buy it from the third-party market or reach out to the team. There might be some ways right now because it is in beta phase. But when it would fully live, you would have to mint during the mint phase and then buy from the secondary market afterwards. So you pay for this, okay? You lose this money. I think the tether that is used to mint these is then provided to the public liquidity pool, and I'll get to that in the future. Okay, moving on. So this NFT grants you several things. It grants you a turn in the random based turn thingy. So every 8 days or so, you get one turn where you can, an hour where you can perform certain actions. Okay, I'll show you some of the actions later and so forth. It allows you to have governance, so any kind of parameters on how much printing can happen and stuff like this. It gives us governance power. It gives you the ability to actually print FUSD sort of out of fresh air. Okay, this is where you get the fractional reserve, because you can print these stablecoins out of nothing almost. Okay, not completely, but you'll understand. It gives you the ability to stake LP tokens, and it gives you some arbitrage opportunities if you understand how the system works. Okay, I'll go through each of these one by one, except not really so much on the governance and so forth. So let's first talk about these random orders. So when it's your turn, if you're an NFT holder, then you can provide liquidity to this private pool. Okay, this private pool is on Uniswap version 4 with its special hooks. Okay, and then there's also the public pool. Remember, I told you this USDC. I think this USDC went into this public pool with these FUSD tokens. Okay, and this is the public pool. Anyone can add liquidity to this, access this, swap through this. It's like a normal Uniswap version 3 pool or whatever, like a stable swap pool. Okay, moving on. So Boosted Bill can come anytime he wants, and he can use Tether to buy FUSD, or he can sell his FUSD for Tether through this public pool. Okay, now this is where stablecoins kind of get broken, right? Now, if the Boosted Bill goes crazy and all his friends go crazy and they just start dumping FUSD like crazy, then obviously FUSD will depeg, right? And in that event that FUSD is depegged in the public pool, then the private pool gets actually locked. So there's no way to swap FUSD for Tether, and there's no way to remove just Tether. So you can remove FUSD and Tether, but you can't then swap your FUSDC for Tether. So it says no remove at USDT, but you know how when you remove liquidity from Uniswap, you get both tokens, right? So the main thing is you cannot sell FUSD for Tether when the public pool is below FUSD. Now keep in mind too, it has to be your turn to remove liquidity, right? So you can't just remove liquidity anytime you want. It has to be your turn based on like the 1 week timer thing, right? So moving on. So as you can see in this situation, Boosted Bill and all his friends have dumped the price of FUSD. So FUSD is worth less than 1 Tether because they dumped it like crazy on the public pool. However, in the private pool, it has maintained its peg because you cannot swap through there. So the people who have provided liquidity, the NFT holders who have provided liquidity, there's now a pool there that shows that FUSD in some places is still pegged, right? And this can kind of create market sentiment and kind of give people the belief that it will return to peg or that it can return to peg. And of course, it depends on size, right? But in a case where, you know, like people have dumped like crazy on this pool, this pool might actually become larger than this pool in TVL, right? But you get the idea. So you see two pools now. This pool's locked. You can't swap through it. These people have provided liquidity to it. They can't swap through it. So, and there's these turn-based like timer where they can't just like all of a sudden all the dollar bills can't just start pulling liquidity in an instant. It takes time. So now they have to think about it. Well, will this like recover? What should I do? They have to take more logical, not panic. They use their logic to just assess the situation better, right? Moving on. So I did say that the NFT holders have staking abilities, right? So they can take these private LP tokens and they can stake them in the Fed, and the Fed will reward them with this called Stability FUSD. And this Stability FUSD has like some restrictions on it. It's like a reward token, okay? And what you can do with this reward token is if it's above peg, right? Then you can use the SB FUSD to print some stable coins, some FUSD. So you will burn your reward token and get some free FUSD, and then you can take that FUSD and sell it for Tether. So that's in the case of where, you know, Dollar Bill and all his friends have aped into this. They've dumped a bunch of Tether into this pool and removed and took a bunch of FUSD. So now FUSD is worth more than Tether. Then Dollar Bill, because he's one of the governance or the private pool or the private individuals in the system, he can then arb this pool by just minting FUSD out of fresh air. Okay, so as demand for FUSD is rising, the people with the NFTs can capture that value. Okay, now it does talk in the docs about like this is not a completely open like minting process. There will be like governance will control how fast this can happen and how much they can, you know, burn these FUSD reward tokens to mint this. So they wouldn't be able to like dump like crazy on it, right? But they could try to keep the peg down, right? So this is a peg, like when it goes above peg mechanism to reduce it and can take it back down to peg, okay? Moving on. Now, there is arbitrage the other way as well. If this FUSD is worth less, like 60 cents or something, worth less than Tether, then these private NFT holders have an opportunity. They can use Tether to buy the FUSD, right? So they can bring some more capital into the system and slowly bring that back to peg. So they can buy that FUSD at a discount and then provide it as into the private pool at 1-to-1. So they're gonna, if this is worth 60 cents here and they provide it here, they're providing it at $1, so they're getting around 40, maybe 20 cents if you think about they have to provide both sides, right? So there is a arbitrage opportunity here if the FUSD is below peg where they can buy it and add it as liquidity at $1. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This is how I understand it. I'm not 100% expert. As always, I would suggest you go to the Telegram, ask more questions, dig deeper, find out what this thing does, and maybe if I've even made some mistakes in here. So, but I do think it's pretty interesting, and it is clever. These locked liquidity positions are very interesting, and they can. This might be an experiment that births something magnificent in the future, right? So I definitely think it's worth checking out, and I definitely think it's worth showing it to everybody and so forth. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.